Mic check. Mic check.
Check 3.
Mic check.
Check 3.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is 11 a.m. and all the commissioners are present. So we'll begin the agenda meeting for today, Wednesday, April 23rd. I would ask those who are participating on the call to please mute your phone unless you need to speak. Today we have 3 new orders and 1 case discussion. But first we have several sets of minutes to approve. So I would move that we approve the minutes from the April 10th, 2025 agenda meeting, both open and closed. Commissioners, are there any changes or modifications to those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving those minutes, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Those minutes are approved. Next, I would like to move to approve the minutes from the April 14th, 2025 agenda meeting, both open and closed. Commissioners, are there any changes or modifications to those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving those minutes, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? By a vote of 4-0, those minutes are approved. Now into tariffs and new orders. The first tariff and new order today is in file number ER-2024-0261 in the matter of the request of Empire District Electric Company, DBA Liberty, for authority to file tariffs increasing rates for electric service. On April 14th, OPC submitted a response and requested the Commission order a true-up period ending June 30th because of concerns regarding the cost of accumulated depreciation. Also on April 14th, staff, on behalf of Liberty, MECG, Influent, EDRA, Renew, and the Electrical Workers Local Union, submitted a joint filing that stated an agreement had been reached among the signatory parties for a true-up period ending March 31st. The true-up period will essentially extend the review period from September 30th, 2022 to either March 31st or June 30th, 2025. In addition to the test year, update period, and true-up period, the use of discrete adjustments will allow adjustments beyond the true-up period, provided that they are known and measurable. After reviewing the filings, the Commission determines that with the availability of discrete adjustments, a true-up period ending later than March 31st is not needed. Thus, the order before us sets the true-up period ending March 31st, 2025, and modifies the procedural schedule to add the true-up period, true-up testimony, and related procedures. With that, I recommend we approve the order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
I support the order.
Commissioner Mitchell.
I'm in support of the order.
All those in favor of approving this order, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? By a vote of 4-0, that order is approved. The second tariff and new order today is in case file number EC-2025-0093, Ryan P. Dooley versus Ameren, Missouri. On March 12th, the Commission issued its order dismissing the complaint in this matter. The order had an effective date of April 12th. On March 27th, Mr. Dooley filed a timely application for rehearing. Section 386-500 RISMO states that the Commission shall grant an application for rehearing if in its judgment sufficient reason therefore may be to appear. After reviewing Mr. Dooley's application for rehearing, it is the judgment of the Commission that the application does not demonstrate sufficient reason to rehear this matter. Thus, the order before us denies the application for rehearing. With that, I recommend we approve the order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
I support the order.
Commissioner Mitchell.
I'm in support of the order.
All those in favor of approving this order, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? By a vote of 4-0, that order is approved. Third and final order today is in file number ER-2024-0319 in the matter of Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri's tariffs to adjust its revenues for electric service. On June 28th of last year, Ameren requested to increase its electric base rate annual revenues by approximately $446 million. The Commission issued notice of Ameren's rate case and granted intervention to MIEC, Sierra Club, Consumers Council, Renew, AARP, Metropolitan Congregations United, and MECG. The commission held 7 local public hearings to hear public comments on Ameren's proposed rate increase. After multiple rounds of pre-filed testimony, various parties to the case filed 2 settlement agreements, 1 revenue requirement agreement and 1 rate design agreement that resolve all of the issues in the case. The agreements allow Ameren to increase its revenue by $355 million, which is more than $90 million less than what Ameren had initially requested. Generally, overall, I think this is a good settlement. When reviewing the agreements, there were several provisions that I thought were particularly noteworthy. The first being keeping the current residential customer charge at $9 a month. I think during the local public hearings, one of the themes that consistently emerged was the concern on the impact to residential customers. So I think keeping this customer charge at $9 a month will help folks manage their bills. Also, I think it's great that the cost of the Rush Island settlement penalties will not be recovered from ratepayers. I liked the changes to the Keeping Current program, changing both the program length to shorten the length, but also addressing concerns that we've heard in the General Assembly, particularly from Senator McCreary, on program removal. Also incorporating the Senate Bill 4 AMI opt-out language, providing better electronic notices of our local public hearings is something that the Commission's really been working on. Incorporating public service priorities restoration after severe weather events is particularly impactful for those heating and cooling centers. Deferring the taxes from Senate Bill 872 to a regulatory liability so that that can be returned to customers in the next rate case. Implementing TOU for net metering customers, again, just providing customers additional options. And implementing new technology to help customers better understand their usage. Moving forward, the Commission will also be examining the low-income rates and discounts in a workshop. It's my expectation that at the conclusion of that workshop, parties will work together to implement those program recommendations in subsequent rate cases. That does give me some comfort in approving the programs in this settlement because they will be revisited in the near term. And overall, in my view, this settlement represents the companies and the company staff and interveners listening to what the Commission has been asking for, which is additional options, bill control, choices, and more and better communication. So I, especially with regard to the local public hearing and the customer tools. In all, I believe the agreements are a reasonable resolution of the issues in this case and result in just and reasonable rates. And I thank the parties for their resolution of these issues. Therefore, the order before us approves the 2 settlement agreements, rejects the tariff sheets initially filed by Ameren, and permits Ameren to file tariff sheets that are consistent with the agreements. With that, I recommend we approve the order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're being asked today to vote on a stipulation agreement that will increase the rates for Ameren, Missouri electric customers by $355 million. That's a very bitter pill for customers to swallow, especially customers who are already having trouble paying their bills. Many of these customers took the time to come to the local public hearings in this case and share their concerns with the Commission, as you have noted. I want each of those attendees to know I appreciate their testimony, and I am thinking of them as I'm being asked to vote on this matter. Now, I'm not going to try to soften this by saying the company asked for $446 million and got only $355 million. That may be true, but it still doesn't make the final increase any easier to take. A lot of people put a great deal of time and hard work into this agreement, and a lot of compromise was made. I appreciate the effort on everyone's part. As noted by Chair Hahn, there's a lot more in here than just higher rates. There's increased funding for low-income customers, money for weatherization programs, and there's help with people in severe crisis. Perhaps most important, there are half a dozen rate options for residential customers, from straight rates to variable time-of-day pricing options. There are real opportunities for families to limit the impact of this increase on their bills. I would encourage every customer to study these carefully and choose the option that works best for them. And if they don't understand it, to call Ameren and then call Ameren again until they can figure it out. Now, this is a stipulation agreement. As you all understand, the parties in this case, the company, the Office of Public Counsel, commission staff, and the other interveners settle the issues in the case. Then they bring the stipulation to we commissioners for us to consider. Unlike a case where the parties can't agree and the commission has to decide the revenue requirement, cost of equity, and return on equity in a report and order based on the evidentiary record. This stipulation is a black box settlement. I do not like black box settlements. I may, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who doesn't like black box settlements. Key elements such as revenue requirements, return on equity, and so forth are not agreed to by parties, nor are they disclosed to the commission. In this particular matter, the commission issued an order and gave the parties the option of sharing this information, and guess what? They chose not to do that. This was a hard case, and it was made harder by the reluctance of the parties to be forthcoming with these elements, with these basic elements. It is understood that parties may have different calculations of these numbers. That's fine. It is understood that parties may want to keep certain information confidential. I respect that. That's necessary at times. However, when the commission asks for relevant information, it is completely reasonable to expect that information to be provided. I would strongly suggest in future stipulation negotiations, the parties of these cases fully understand how important this information is and provide it as part of the STIP. Utility rate cases are not the place to play hide the ball with the commission. Looking forward, I hope the parties keep this in mind, and I hope the council who wrote the response to the commission's request for this information is listening closely. Now, it would be much easier for me today to vote no on this stipulation. It would be much easier for me to go home to St. Louis, tell my friends, tell my neighbors, tell the people who attended the public hearings that I saved them $355 million, but I wouldn't really be saving them anything. The full case would be brought, parties could appeal the decision, and an even higher rate could result. The easy thing is not always the best or the right thing to do, and that is the issue I face today. So I'm going to vote for approving the stipulation, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to tell my friends and my neighbors and the people who came to the public hearings that we couldn't get a perfect deal, but we were able to get the best possible deal in this particular case. And most important, I'm going to tell them that the best deal we could get to keep the lights on and the rates as low as possible is what we did get for everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't disagree with anything that either one of you have said. I wholeheartedly agree. So I don't know that I can add anything new to that, but I do want to thank all the parties that came together to come up with this settlement. And I know it's not easy. This was a big case, and we all know it, and we all see the work that was put into this case. And I want to thank all the parties that came to the table to work this one out. So with that, Madam Chair, I will be in support.
Thank you, Commissioner Kolkmeyer. Commissioner Mitchell.
I think with all that's been said here this morning, I really don't have much to add except that I'm of a like mind with the other commissioners. I particularly align my thoughts with Commissioner Coleman in that I think more transparency is always better, and moving forward, I would certainly like to see more transparency in the essential elements that build the rate, which we don't have in the black box settlement. I think it's important for the commissioners to be able to both look forward and to look back to assess, trends, what's happened in the past, and how what's happened in the past might apply moving forward. And it's difficult, or not, if not impossible, to do that without the knowledge of those essential elements that went into the rate calculation, and fully understanding that people can have disagreements on exactly what those numbers are, but I think we need to know at least the range of reasonableness in which those numbers fall. And so I would hope moving forward that we could have that transparency. I'm also encouraged that the parties developed low-income assistance programs that, in my mind, are meaningful, and that both the company, the shareholders, and the ratepayers are participating in covering the cost. And those programs aren't borne solely by the ratepayers. So that is one thing that I particularly appreciate. And so with that, I'll be supporting the order.
Thank you, Commissioner Mitchell. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the order version number 1, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? By a vote of 4-0, that order is approved. Next item on the agenda today is case discussion in file number EO-2023-0448 in the matter of the application of Union Electric, DBA Ameren, Missouri, for approval of decommissioning cost estimate for Callaway Energy and funding level of the Nuclear Decommissioning Trust Fund. Judge Pridgeon.
Chair Hahn, Commissioners, good morning. I put this memo on to remind the Commissioners of the hearing set for Tuesday morning in this case. Only 3 witnesses are scheduled to testify, so I expect it to be a fairly brief hearing. I think that's all I have, and again, I put the parties' position statements and some WebEx information in the memo if you care to participate by WebEx. So I believe that's all I have, unless the Commission has any questions.
Questions for Judge Pridgeon?
I have a couple. My first question is the decommissioning forecast of 2044. In my mind, there is really no expectation that resource will be decommissioned in 2024, and that date is really a trigger that's tied to the NRC licensing agreement. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, Commissioner.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions or discussion? Hearing none. The last item on the agenda today is scheduling. Today, we have a local public hearing in case EA-2025-0087 in the matter of Ameren Transmission of Illinois for a certificate of convenience and necessity under Section 393-170 relating to transmission investments in north central Missouri, WebEx only at 12 noon with Judge Sire. Thursday, tomorrow, April 24th, we have the last two local public hearings in case GR-2024-0369 in the matter of Ameren, Missouri's tariffs to adjust its revenues for gas service, WebEx only at noon and 6 p.m. with Judge Pridgeon. Tuesday, April 29th, we have the evidentiary hearing for the case that we just discussed, EO-2023-0448, here in room 310 at 9 a.m. with Judge Pridgeon. Wednesday, April 30th, we have agenda at 11:30 a.m. Wednesday, May 7th, and Wednesday, May 14th, we have agenda at 11 a.m. Commissioners, are there any changes or modifications to the schedule? Hearing none, any further business coming before the commission? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.